This here is the average voltmeter. We're going to get familiar with some of the settings. The first setting is obviously off, kind of self-explanatory. The second setting is amps. Amps is the actual current flow when the electrons are moving. That's actually what it measures, is the movement of electrons. If you have more current flow, basically brighter the headlight, the more voltage you get, the more amps you'll get. This here is ohms, and that's basically just a noisemaker. It's if you have a complete path and there is the possibility of flow of current, and we'll see that in a little bit, basically this thing will beep. And ohms is a measurement also. Then you have volts with another little squiggly line above it. That is AC voltage, also known as alternating voltage, alternating current. Next you have voltage again, but notice how these are straight lines. This is DC voltage. We're going to see examples of both of these and this one by the time the video is done. Okay, in this video you're going to see multiple different meters, basically the same settings. This is the first voltmeter we're going to take a look at. This one has amperage clamp up on the top. I've got another one that you're going to see with that. Those are kind of nice if you get into dealing with amperage. I have two leads hooked up basically to a set of jumper cables with a battery. At the bottom you can see a bunch of settings. It says COM. This is the black wire, also known as ground. On this side you have volts and ohms. Each one of these, you're going to see different writing on the bottom that tells you where to put the leads. This one, there's only two ports. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch this up to DC voltage. You can see I'm reading 12.9. You want to run DC on any power that's not being generated. Basically, wall voltage is generated from a power plant. You want to be on AC for that. We're going to see an example later. If I turn it to AC, you don't get anything. So that's how you check volts on a meter. Okay, this is another Fluke. It's the same brand. This meter and the last meter basically have the same functions. This one has a little bit more features on it. I can take minimum, maximum readings on it. If I have voltage fluctuation, I can see the high point and the low point. I can see what the range is. I can make this one beep or not. Also has backlighting. Has hold function, hertz function. It's got all kinds of stuff going on. On the bottom here you have your amp reading, 10 amp max fused. If I wanted to check amperage, I'd go between the common and that port with the A. This is milliamps. This will go up to 400 milliamps. Again, if it was a very small load, much like an LED, I'd use this one. For using volts or ohms, or checking a diode in this case, I'd use these ports. So, as far as checking voltage, I'm going to go ahead and plug these in. I'm going to turn it to volts DC. Then I got to put a battery in it. Okay, as long as we're having technical difficulties here, I figure I'd capitalize on it. We have one other voltmeter here. It's basically the same thing as the first one that we saw. You can see common on this side, you can see volts and ohms on this side. Down on the bottom, only has two ports. You can't hardly screw that up. We like those. I'm going to take this, I'm going to bring it up to voltage DC. I'm going to check the battery out of that last one. These here are 9-volt batteries. Should say on it somewhere. You can see it right there, 9 volts. So when I hold this across the ports, I should have 9 volts. Unfortunately, I don't. You'll notice on this case, I can also take the battery and flip it back and forth, and you can see the negative right down there. Basically, it's telling me that I have it reverse polarity. So that is the correct side. This is positive, this is negative. So that's how you check voltage. As far as the 12 volt circuit, I can also do one of these, and you can see 12.7 volts. Again, on this one we have voltage AC, ohms, and amperage. Okay, this is an X-Tech. It's a little bit different brand. Again, it's the same thing though. You've got two ports. You've got common. They have black and red. Put the black in the black, the red in the red. We have a bunch of different settings on this one. We have off, we have 400 amps, 600 amps, volts, temperature, and ohms. So we had that battery before. Here's the new battery. We're going to go ahead and check this out. Also notice you only have 1 volt reading. This is actually auto sensing. So all you got to do is put it on volts, check it, and it automatically switches. You can see I got it reverse polarity again. 8.41. So this battery isn't too bad off. Okay, this is a Fluke 83 we just got done replacing the battery in. You can see again we've got 4 ports, amps, milliamps, common, which is basically the ground. You've got volts and ohms on the same terminal over here. So this is where I want to be plugged into. Off, voltage AC, voltage DC, millivolts, ohms, diode checking, milliamps, and microamps. I've got the leads hooked up. You put it on volts DC, 12.7 volts. Here again we have another Fluke. We have 400 milliamps over here. If I was checking milliamps, I'd go over here. If I was just checking amperage, I'd put it over here. This is always common, no matter what. The black is always common. And this is the voltage DC. Actually DC and AC. So we've got those two hooked up. We have off, voltage AC, voltage DC again, millivolts, ohms, diode checking, milliamps, and amperage, AC or DC. All those, anytime you see amps, it doesn't matter, AC or DC. We're going to go ahead and turn this up to voltage DC. Again, we have 12.71. That should really not be any surprise at this point, but you can see basically how to run each different style of voltmeter. Okay, as long as we got this one out, we're also going to do a voltage check on AC. This right here is basically a plug-in, just like any 120 volt connection in your house, anything you plug in. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on to voltage AC. You can see it's reading in millivolts right now. It's just a kind of a transient voltage. Really makes no difference. It'll just kind of float. It's very sensitive. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and check how many volts I'm at. 121.4. So you can see that it also works on voltage AC. Any one of those meters, if you would have just basically clicked the dial back to volts AC, we could have done the same test. Just wanted to show you how it worked. You can see here these are 6 different types of meters that we've gone through. They all pretty much work the same. As long as you have voltage, AC, DC, and ohms, there's really not a whole lot you can't check.